So a friend of mine decided he wanted to come over and watch the Oscars. So we were going to watch the Oscars, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I invited you even, right?
You mentioned it to me, yeah.
But you had dinner plans with
Yes.
her. So, and when he asked me, he was like, "You got Hulu, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, the Oscars, they're supposed to be on Hulu." I was like, "Okay, cool, yeah." So he comes over for like 15 minutes before they're going to start. We're just hanging out. And we got going to Hulu and we play, and it's like the pre-show, the red carpet. It's playing. And then it ends, and it's 7:00, and it's time for them to start. And then it goes into an episode of 2020. And I was like, oh, well, maybe we have to click on a different thing. We go out, and there's nothing there.
Nope.
So then we're Googling, and come to find out, no, it's not streamed anywhere.
Nope,
you basically had to have live TV, like you had to have cable to authenticate and watch it through the ABC app, or you had to have like YouTube TV or, Hulu live TV, which is where it was on Hulu, with like the extra things that are basically cable that that you pay like $60-$70 a month for. So I don't have that because that's not what I watch. So so then
what did you guys do then?
He left and we didn't watch it. Hey, welcome back to Screen Time. I'm your host, Josh. No yesterday, no tomorrow, just today. And my co-host, Jered.
We grieve those we have lost by continuing their fight.
Yeah. All right. So today we are talking about Shogun, episode 3 and 4. But before we get into that, a little bit of what we've been watching. What have you been watching, Jered? Anything else?
Not much. I got 2 things.
I've got a bunch.
You have a bunch? Yeah. All right, cool.
But I'll go through them quick.
Yeah. One, you also talk about some Oscar stuff too?
Yeah, well, you want to talk about that first before we get into
it? Yeah, we can do that first. Yeah.
Well, I didn't watch the Oscars, and I don't think you did either, but just looking at some of the stuff afterwards. But our boy Christopher Nolan finally won.
I can't believe. So he's never won.
No, never won for best director
That's
or
insane.
best film, and anything he's made. The Dark Knight, I remember, was nominated. I don't know if anything else. I can't remember, but I remember that was nominated for.
I think
best.
Interstellar was too.
Yeah, but he didn't win.
Wow.
So that's first. But the other thing that was crazy I saw, like Ludwig Göransson, that he won for that. He now has the same amount of Oscars as John Williams.
Wow. And he's
no, sorry, not John Williams. That's wrong.
Okay.
Hans Zimmer.
Okay, well that still applies. Hans Zimmer's not quite as old as John Williams, but
yes, he has the same.
He's like way younger.
Now, I'll predict Hans Zimmer will win this year
again
for Dune.
Yeah,
but
I hope
he'll be
again.
back ahead by one. But the fact that Ludwig is so young,
I know,
and to have, I don't remember how many it is, 2 or 3 that they I can't remember how many they each have. But
did he win for Mandalorian? Or are you talking about only films?
Well, it's only be films for Oscars, but like he.
So you won for Tenet?
Yes, he won for Tenet, and then he just won for
Oppenheimer. What was the other one?
I don't know. I think it's 3 that they both have right now.
Okay.
Like maybe it's only 2, but anyway, all I know is that someone was saying it. Now he has the same as Hans Zimmer, which is crazy at as young as he is.
I mean, he is that good, but
yeah.
I wonder. I hope Hans wins again, even though he already won for part 1, but he should win.
Yeah,
for part 2
he
also.
Yeah.
There's enough new stuff in there that is so good.
Yeah.
So, and
or
I don't even
just
really,
variations of the other themes and like.
And I mean, now again, we got the rest of the year, and there's still stuff we don't know about, but like, there's not really many other like really huge movies that I can think of, right?
Yeah. That would have like scores
that are coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, in general, like I hope Denny gets something for part 2 as well.
Yeah.
Or do you think they're going to do the Peter Jackson thing and give it to him?
Until part
once he
3
finishes the trilogy.
I don't know, because
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, they'll definitely win for like special effects and stuff. Probably, yeah. But anyway, anything else you stood out that you saw? I just that it's like one of those things. The fact that Christopher Nolan hadn't won yet.
I can't believe that.
It's insane.
It is cool though that both, I don't know how many they won, but two movies that I've been talking about recently actually won some stuff. Poor Things and Zone of Interest.
Yeah,
which is cool.
They
I
both
still
won
haven't finished
some-
Poor Things, so I'm not going to talk about that one today. But
Well, I think
Zone
Poor
of
Things
Interest
is the
is
one
awesome.
that Poor Things kind of shut out some of the stuff that like Barbie could have won for.
Yeah.
Because like it won a lot of the costume and
Oh.
and set design stuff.
it's
Whereas,
crazy in that movie. Yeah.
But also Barbie really good
True,
at that
that is
stuff.
true.
But and then I think also then what's her name that was in Killers of the Flower Moon, like
Lily Gladstone.
yeah. Like a lot
She
of
was
people-
supposed to win, right?
or
and
a
she
lot,
didn't.
lot of people thought she was going to win, but then Emma Stone won. So
That's something else that's crazy is that Martin Scorsese, I think, has only won like once or twice in
Yeah.
his whole career. It was
Yeah.
like The Departed and maybe one other movie.
yeah.
And he has so many good movies. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of crazy. So the Oscars are weird.
Yes.
I don't know. Sometimes
all awards ceremonies are weird.
Yeah, you're right.
There's definitely there's just
I was just seeing some stuff about for the music industry, because that just happened too, which would be the Grammys.
Hmm.
There's always some very weird stuff going on there as well. So
but yeah. Anyway, yeah, those happened and
yeah,
life goes on.
yep. So Killian won then, right?
Yes,
Cool.
Robert Downey Jr. won.
Right, I saw that, which is awesome.
Which I mean that performance actually was
oh,
not
I know.
that they weren't both good, but like it just almost like that one I feel like you forgot it was Robert Downey Jr.
Oh yeah,
And it was that, but anyway.
yeah. I mean, yeah, they both were so great in that. There was one other thing I was going to mention. What was it? That I saw something about. Oh, I was wondering, do you know what Zone of Interest won for?
Sound design or something.
Oh,
or
okay.
something with sound. Yeah.
Okay.
There's
That's
different
very
ones.
well.
There's sound design and sound mix. And
Yeah.
but it was one of those. I can't.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you listen to this pod, I talked a lot about the sound in that movie,
Yes, you
so
did,
it is
you
well
did, you
deserved.
did.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah. So what else, what have you been watching?
Yeah. So two things. One is new and one is old that I just kind of wanted to mention again and revisit.
Like a Dr. Seuss. One is new and one is
That's
old.
right. Just like Dr. Seuss. Yeah. The new one is The Gentleman
One
on
was blue.
Netflix. One is yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is on my list too. The Gentleman on Netflix.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you? So okay.
I've watched 3 episodes.
All right. Well, we'll hold off. We can talk about it when because you've
No,
seen more than me.
okay.
No. We'll wait because I can talk about the other one now that I
Okay.
have, and then we can go into your stuff and talk about it because I only watched the first episode for The Gentleman. But the other thing I just want to mention again because I mentioned a while back is just rewatching all of Curb, which I think you said you are too,
I'm
right?
on season 4. I think I just actually watched last episode, season 4. So I'm on
Okay.
season 5, episode 10 last night.
Nice. Is it finally getting to like okay quality?
There was a little
There's
difference,
a little jump, yeah.
little bit better, but some of it's still like his acting is so bad.
Who, Larry David?
Yes. So,
Well,
it's just sometimes hard to watch him.
the thing is that sometimes that's always the case because it's like, I mean, you know how the show is. It's like there's very loosely a script. It's
Yeah.
like almost all improv. So it's like, yeah, I guess I don't know though. He does really well. It must be later on than he's.
I don't know. I just, but yeah, it's it's growing on me, and I'm just kind of making my way through it slowly. The last it was the episode where David Schwimmer
Oh,
in the watch,
mm-hmm.
and then he's like wanting him.
They're
to,
doing the producers play,
yes,
right? Yeah.
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 And then he has the 10-year anniversary gift or whatever where he can sleep with someone else.
Oh yeah,
And
that's right with Cheryl.
The
Yeah,
time is clicking
Mhm.
down because it's like he has like until the anniversary or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
yeah. The time, yeah.
It's like the whole thing is ridiculous.
That's what I love about it. It's just like it's the same kind of things that would be in Seinfeld.
Yeah,
It's just
not as good.
different.
It's just
No,
not
it's
good.
not because of, but it's still awesome that like the scenarios are all still the same kind of stuff that would happen in
Yeah.
Seinfeld. But yeah, so I'm rewatching it to go into the new season, which probably by the time I get there, it probably will almost all be out at that point.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm like kind of worried about is I don't want to get spoiled whenever the end of the whole show comes out, because I feel like something's.
Maybe.
It might, it might be I feel like it's gonna be a big deal, whatever happens with the end of this show, just because it's been around. I mean, it's 12 seasons. Yeah, I think it's 12 seasons is the last one. So I don't know, and I wonder if they're gonna tie it into Seinfeld again in a way, which I think would be awesome. I have no indication of that, but I just think it would be cool.
Yeah.
Since all they really did was that, which that'll be coming up soon for you in your rewatch. The Seinfeld reunion is like season 6 or 7, I think. Which is great. I think it's probably the first season that the quality like is a bigger jump too. I want to say, because there is at some point, because it's very slow.
There's also a point where there's a big gap, right? Like he like made.
That's a little later. Okay. That's after the Seinfeld thing. There is a big gap, yeah,
of like time before they made more.
It's like 5 years at least, I think. Yeah, and then there's another big gap because I want to say the last 2 seasons kind of were pretty quick. It was in 2020 and 2021 for 10 and 11, and then now we're getting the final one. But before that, I think season 9 was like 2016 or 2017. So that was a little bit of a gap too between seasons. So that's how the show's always been though. It's just whenever he feels like making it. Like that's really how it is. Yeah. And it's cool that he finally is like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I wanted to mention the one although how far did you get into it originally?
Oh, no, I already passed.
You already passed?
Yeah, I haven't gone.
Okay, well, never mind. I shouldn't mention what. I was going to say the episode I just watched, because what am I on now? 10?
Oh, okay.
10th season?
Yeah. No, I never, I'm pretty sure what I'm watching now, I have never seen. So,
wow, okay.
I think I only made it to like the first 3 seasons or something.
Okay, well, there's still a lot of really good stuff, and it's still, even when it comes back, like these newer seasons, it's still, I think, just as good. Because I was a little worried about that when he had that little break and then coming back. He still gets a lot of just random people to be in it too, which is great. Like John Hamm's been on it a couple times, like the last couple seasons, which is awesome. So
always good to see John Hamm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do want to mention though, because that just happened last week, that Richard Lewis passed away. Which is sad. Now he is in the final season, so he already filmed all that. But yeah, he passed away like last week, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing just a bunch of clips going around of just him and Larry interacting, because they have like just some of the best interactions in the show. And it's always the case. So it's like that continues even into the final season, because he's in it. I don't know how much, but
yeah.
Anyway, so that's because the other person I think died a couple years ago also was Funkhauser. Has he shown up? I think he's pretty early in the seasons.
I'm trying to think who that is.
His name's, he always just calls him Funkhauser, his last name, but is it Marty Funkhauser? I think. He's the guy with like the weird voice. He's a very unique voice.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he wasn't in the first couple of seasons, but he should be in it, and he continues throughout it. But yeah, so he passed away kind of recently too, I want to say.
Okay.
So anyway, but what's weird though is like Larry David, he just always looks the same age.
Yeah, he's like Steve Martin. He looked old when he was young, so then like as he ages, he doesn't really look older, because he already looked like he was 70 years old when he was like 35.
I was even like watching. The only thing I saw for the final season was a really short teaser, and I was like, "Yep, he still looks exactly the same." And I don't even know how old Larry David is now. He's got to be pretty old at this point. But
yeah, I don't know. But you're right. Like he always looks the same. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so whenever you get, like, definitely mention it again on the pod whenever you get to the Seinfeld stuff, because that's just some really good stuff in it.
I'll bring it up for sure. All right, so gentlemen, what did you think? Oh, let's get into a little bit what you thought of the first episode.
Oh, I thought it was like way better than I thought it was going to be, because I like with the movie, I'm like, all right, they're doing it as a show, and I was wondering how those take place with each other, and when I looked up, all it said was Guy Ritchie said, he was like, yeah, it's in the same universe. It's not a remake of the movie. It's not a continuation. So I don't really know what that means, but that's all he said about it. And it is still very much his kind of movie. With his movies, and I don't think he's ever done any shows till now, right? I think it's mainly just been movies. Yeah. He's kind of hit or miss for me as a director. The Gentleman's awesome, though, with the movie. Did you ever see the movie? Okay. And this is very, very much the same vibe. And I like the style of it. And I think all the actors in it are great, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you think of it? You're further than me.
No, I've been enjoying it. Like, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a very unique British vibe that he does with his stuff. It's very like I don't know how to explain it. He has a very specific kind of comedy, kind of like Edgar Wright. Not the same kind of comedy, but he has a very specific type of comedy. But then he also does, a lot of gangster stuff in general too in all of his movies. And
yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I think he did just the first 2 episodes because I was trying to look up to see how many he did for the show. And so I don't know. So you watched the 3rd one. Does it still fit the same, even though it's not him? Because I think he just did the first 2.
I didn't notice a change in tone.
All right, awesome.
And feel like it seemed consistent. So
sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So watch Gentleman. Enjoying that. Started, I think, 3 episodes as well of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Finally. It's been pretty good, but I agree with you. Like the lady we were talking about before,
yeah,
like they could have done better. I feel like casting somebody different than her, but in general, still enjoying the show. It's just still cool.
I just selfishly, I'm like, it should have been her at the beginning.
Well, yeah. I mean, that opening, like it's like it was had so. Just fit the role, and it was such a short scene, but yet worked so well. You're like, okay, these people had the chemistry and the I don't know, the gravitas or whatever you want to say to like play the roles, and like she definitely lacks it in that way.
Yeah, I agree. But Donald Glover though is awesome.
Yes,
he's great in it.
Then, for TV stuff. So, Gentlemen, that, and then. The Reluctant Traveler season 2 came out and watched the first episode of that, and that's as delightful.
Still good.
Cool. Season 1 was.
All right, delightful.
Delightful, yes, with the constant sarcasm from Eugene Levy.
He's I've never watched that show, but I do like it. He's a very unique actor, and he's funny. Yeah. But yeah.
And then I watched a couple of movies. I watched Saltburn.
Okay.
Which was pretty good. It was weird that it's 4:3 and not 16:9.
Yes.
That kind of threw me off. And it definitely had like they shot it on, I don't know, it feels like almost like they shot it on like 16 mil or something like it was very like grainy and
well that fits with like it's like mid 2000s, right? I think. Time period they probably wanted to do that.
It was all right. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, there was definitely like some shocking moments but
I saw them every now and then because Claudia's the one who watched it, but I was on my laptop.
At the same time,
couch.
They weren't as like because I guess again one of those things was like built up enough. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, and then like
it's not that.
I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd and gross, but like at the same time, whatever.
Yeah,
but it was but it was the. I mean, wouldn't rewatch it, but
no.
But it was good.
I think again, like we were talking about with Dune, all these younger actors that are really good. That's 2 more that I think the 2 main guys in that are very big now, and in other stuff too that I think are really good.
Yeah,
like newer younger actors.
Yeah. And then I watched Miller's Girl.
Oh, Claudia watched this also, but I didn't ask her about it. So I'll have to check with her as well. Or you can ask her.
Have a conversation with her. But I thought it was pretty good.
You know why? Because I told her she didn't know anything about it, and I was like, "This is a Claudia movie." I knew it, like, just by the look of it. I was like, "This is her kind of movie."
I will say, I was say a little disappointed how it ended.
Okay.
Didn't love the ending, but in general, I thought it was good, and also was kind of hoping because Jenna Ortega, like that was part of the reason I wanted to watch it because I was like, okay, I liked her in Wednesday, and I don't think I've really seen her in anything else, and so it was something else. And she is a little different, but at the same time, she's still kind of doing the same thing. So it's like from like a a character. So
Martin Freeman though.
Yeah, he's always great.
Yeah.
He's always great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else in that movie?
So I didn't look. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, but there's the guy that's the coach is kind of his other teacher at the school that's like his friend, and he looked familiar.
Okay.
And then Martin Freeman's wife is played by an actress, and she looked familiar. I did look her up, and I don't remember her name, but she was in Succession. She was what's the not the oldest brother, the older brother that was wanted to take over all the time.
Kendall
Roy, like his assistant lady.
Okay, yeah.
That was with him for a while. Like it was that actress. So I was like, man, she looks familiar, and then like I'd look it up, and that's
gotcha.
What I knew her from. So, but yeah, it was good. Like I enjoyed definitely the first 2/3 of the movie. I thought it was really good, and then
not a good ending though.
I just a little bit of feel like I don't know, but then the last little thing I want to talk about, a little rant.
Cool, let's do it.
The streaming services, they've taken away the option to skip the credits, the intros.
All of them?
All of a sudden now it's like you can't, like it was, I guess Netflix probably still has it. I'm not
okay.
Off the top of my head.
So which one was not doing it?
Well, Hulu doesn't do it anymore. I think even Apple's doesn't do it anymore. Like HBO doesn't do it anymore. Like
I used Apple's recently, and I feel like it was still working. It wasn't working for you on Apple?
I'm pretty sure. It's like I just noticed I keep like watching stuff, and I'm like, I can't.
I don't know about the other ones. Though.
Skip the credits anymore, like the intro credits. And I'm like, I get it. It's people want to. They put work into it. It's an art, and there's somebody worked on that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, come on.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Amazon doesn't have it anymore either.
Oh,
can't skip on there either. Yeah.
Also, Amazon. I haven't used it in a while, so maybe it's better now. But
no, it's not
the worst.
It's the worst interface
ever.
So bad.
Wow.
So
okay. Bad. Do you think they would have enough money to make their UI a little bit better, or is it UX? Would it be UI or UX?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Both.
So make both of those better, Amazon. You have enough money to do that.
Yes, for sure. Okay, let's get into Shogun.
All right.
Episodes 3 and 4. Any overall thoughts on these two episodes? Anything?
I just have a correction from last week.
Oh, what did we?
Because when I was listening back,
what did we say?
We were talking about the 3 hearts quote. That's so good. You said end of first episode, and I said no, it's at the end of the second. You were right. It's the end of the first episode because I was rewatching it with Claudia because she finally watched it, and by the way, she loves it too, which is good. But yeah, it's at the end of the first episode. Okay. So I wanted to clarify that you were right about
that. Well, nah, but these two, I mean, we'll get into them, so I don't want to but just another 2 solid episodes, and it's
definitely
really cementing the show as high quality,
very high quality
show.
Yeah.
I did look into, so we were talking about this, and I didn't know last time. The show was filmed on the Sony Venice cameras. Okay, and then they're using Hawk X anamorphics lenses.
Okay, all right, that's right. So that the lens is what gives it that kind of fisheye almost.
Why
it kind of looks like
on the edges.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. Now, what about those cameras? Is there anything
They're-
special about those?
I mean, they're just one of the other high-end digital
Okay.
cinema cameras that people use. Sony Venice is like up there with the RE Alexas.
okay.
They're like the ones up here, and then you kind of put the red under that, and
Mm.
then the other stuff under that.
It is interesting though. Maybe they swap out lenses because I don't see that always.
Well, it's
You know, in
what
the
probably millimeter lens they're using. So when
Okay.
they're using like a really wide one, is probably when you're seeing it more than when they're using, like a 30 or 20 or 50 millimeter lens. But when they're going to like a 10 or whatever, 12 or something like that, that's like the really wide. That's when you would start getting more edge distortion and be more noticeable.
okay.
All right, we'll start with episode 3
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow.
By the way, we
is
have
tomorrow. Yeah, and this right here
if
is
you're a video watcher,
if you're watching on YouTube, we have a little cheat sheet that I
Yep.
printed out with like the different pictures of the characters with their names, just to kind of help us remember.
it's tough. It's
their
like
names,
Game of
'cause
Thrones. It's like
so many names, and well, yeah, I'm not good with names in general in real life, and then
me
you
neither.
and then you make them Japanese names, and
It's tough. Yep.
yeah, so so our tomorrow is tomorrow, episode 3. After Blackthorn survives a brazen assassination attempt, Toranaga realizes he must ferry his allies out of Osaka or risk certain defeat. All right. So on this one, we open in Osaka Castle, and we have Toranaga meeting with Yabashige,
Yabashige.
whatever it is. Yabashige. And he's writing up his will because he thinks he might
Yeah.
be going to his death. And then turns out Toranaga is like basically giving him a mission,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but he thought he might kill him. And he was like, hey, watch the sunrise with me.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's it's interesting with this character
Yes.
what happens by the end of next episode.
Yeah.
What he's been doing, or maybe playing a lot of different sides.
He's trying to play both sides.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's going to get burned. Yeah. But yeah, so but he basically talks about escorting Blackthorn and the ladies off out of Osaka. And so as they prepare for all that, then Ishidu
Mm-hmm.
shows up to inspect. I guess to
Yeah.
make sure they're really taking who they say they're taking. And and then after he looks in one of the little, I don't know what you call those carrier things.
Not sure.
Then you see Toranaga swap with the lady in there, and because then the other pregnant lady like fakes a pain and to distract everybody. And basically Blackthorn,
But
and
then he had to,
Blackthorn and Marika are the only ones that kind of noticed what happened. But so then they're making their way out of there,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get the actual normal inspection, and he has to like make this huge scene to try to avoid them catching.
It was pretty good though, because that's like,
He was funny because he's like, no one's gonna do anything. No one's gonna do anything.
he was like kind of ramping up like the persona of what the Japanese really think he is, like calling him a barbarian, and he was like really ratcheting up that kind of the way he was
hysterical.
acting.
He's
Yeah.
acting a little
So
hysterical.
I mean, it makes sense to where, got him out of it. So
Yeah.
barely, but it was close.
But yeah, so then they move along, but then they get ambushed on the road, and of course you're like, I assumed it was a Shido at first, but then you realize it was the other.
It's assassins again, right?
Well, I think it's they were all coming from the the other groups that are Christian from the council
Oh, okay.
that are want to kill Blackthorn because he's there, because the Catholic priests want them dead, wants him dead, so then the other people in the council that are the Catholic Christians, they are just listening to them. So I think that's who sent the assassin originally, and then
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
and then but then they didn't know Toranaga is in there, and
Mm-hmm. I think this was one of the best scenes of episode 3. All the fire arrows coming down on them in the woods. This was cool to see a little more action and everyone fighting. And it really, between that scene and like in the next episode too, really made me want to play Ghost of Tsushima again, which Josh actually is familiar with now because you
Yes.
played a little bit on vacation.
Yeah, I played. Well, and I played a little.
Oh,
bit
you played a little bit here too?
after I get back, and once Lucas got his
Nice.
PS5, I played a little bit as well.
Oh yeah, because you were playing it not on PS5 at first, right?
Yes, on vacation I was playing the PS4.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Watching this in general, like it's.
But even like the combat is like it's very similar approach. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah. So and then the other thing it was cool to see is Mariko. She kind of started fighting, and you're like, oh, she can actually fight.
She can, yeah.
And
Which makes sense because I think she did mention training in some way in the past. I feel like that was right when we first met her. I remember mentioning something about that, which would make sense for. Well, no, actually, it's not that. Now I'm thinking about it. No spoilers, but from where she came from and showing that little flashback, I think that might be why she's such a good fighter from before.
Well, and then somewhere in here, in the meantime, like this towards the first half of this episode, we also see the Portuguese ship and the black ship, and them talking to the priests and like being like, hey, he didn't really give you permission to leave, so you can't leave the harbor.
Yep.
And so we kind of get all that stuff, and he's like, I don't care, I'll do what I want, I'm going to leave anyway, kind of thing. So anyway, so they make it out alive out of this ambush, and then they make their way to the harbor. And then there's some the guys, I guess they were originally on the ship that Blackthorn came to Osaka in.
Yeah.
That he like kind of to weather that storm, and like in episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. Yeah.
Yeah, they were hanging out there, and of course he's like, hey, I know these guys.
Yeah.
But then they all get on the rowboats and they're head out to the ship, and then we see Bantaro.
Bantaro, yeah.
Bantaro.
This is Mariko's husband.
Mariko's husband. Like, see him. He doesn't. They thought they had lost him, but then they all left the harbor and on the rowboats, and then he shows up, and he was taking out some guys.
Oh yeah,
he was definitely a good fighter. I think so. This was the moment where then he pauses, and you see his face, and you see her face, and
Toranaga also gives him
he gives a nod, but everything in that moment, like it was interesting. It was like, because actually, to me, it's like it made me feel for her and him, like even though earlier the scenes we saw them, they kind of painted him as like this like not good husband and not good father, and even she kind of like, it was like you could tell like she's just doing it because it's her wifely duties to be in this relationship, but it wasn't like a happy relationship, right? It's kind of how they painted it. And so like you kind of didn't like him, but then like they did such a good job in that moment of like still making you feel for them, and how like even though maybe it wasn't the best relationship, like it was still like a sad and upsetting situation. That was funny that like we don't actually see him die because he runs like down like a.
I was going to mention
alley.
that.
Yeah.
I think he's going to come back. I don't think he died.
Do you think?
But it was cool that Mariko still says like, which is true, even though like she probably didn't like him that much because of how he was treating her.
Mhm.
But she said he died honorably, which is
Yeah.
true because he like took on a
Yeah.
lot of people,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's cool. All that I love seeing all that, especially obviously in Japanese culture in general, but just like the level of respect,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like he knows when he gives him that bow, and he basically knows he's like, all right, well I'm gonna die, but I'm dying basically for the person I'm serving
Mm-hmm.
and also my wife, right? And but yeah, it was a good scene.
It was, and then they get onto Toranaga's ship, which is like a smaller, lesser vessel than the black ship,
Mm-hmm.
and then they realize that there's like a barricade of fishermen waiting. Well, not really fishermen, but like barricade of more men waiting to. And so Blackthorn has the idea to negotiate with the Portuguese and get on the black ship, which they do successfully.
Yep.
But and he even ends up in that Toranaga offers, I guess, for his hometown or wherever it was, to allow them to build a church there
Yeah.
that the priests were happy about. But but then they make Blackthorn stay behind.
Yeah.
It's just like so weird. Like that was a little weird because you're like, I get it. You know, and Toranaga's like just trying to make the best decision for the larger group, and regardless of one individual, which is why they also left the Bentaro behind as well, because it's like, well, if we go back, probably more people are gonna die, and
Mm-hmm.
so like, I mean, he's trying to be that kind of strategic leader, but it's also weird. Like then where sometimes you're like, well, where's the honor? And like this guy just gave you the idea that'll save you and make you through this, but then you're like, yeah, just leave him behind. But we get this. We get the scene where they're like taking the ships through, and he gets the idea to kind of piggyback off of them to make it through. I feel
With
like that
Rodriguez,
scene, yeah. I feel like that scene was a little like weird. Like I'm like, why did that work?
Well, I mean, I do like how John and Rodriguez just constantly roasting each other back and forth. That was great.
That was
Their
great.
dialogue.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then also, I did like how he finally, in the end, he's like, I do owe you one because you saved my
That's
life.
what I was going to mention also.
So
yeah.
that stuff's
That's
good.
why he
I just meant-
let him, because he was going to basically ram into him.
Have him ram into the rocks.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the whole reason that they switched ships in the first place was because they didn't think that one ship could make it through the barricade of like
Okay.
small ships with like arrows or whatever fire arrows or whatever they had. And so why did it work then when the people weren't on there? That's the thing. I was like, that's kind of
yeah.
seemed confusing to me a little bit. Like why? Like I was like, why does this work now? I mean, maybe the big ship took enough of them out, kind of as he was going through. I don't know. If you know and have ideas, let us know. But
I mean, it shows his piloting skills too.
yes. But what I'm saying is like, why? If he could get through that in the first place, then why did they move everybody to the big ship?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like then he just would go through it. So
right.
Anyway, it just seemed a little like confusing to me there, but then because then after they make it through and because he makes it through, they're like, oh well, then we'll just go back to our ship since we made it through.
Yeah.
you're like great.
Yeah.
And then we get and then we have the scene like when they're like, then it's like the next day and they're on the ship and he presents Blackthorn, asks him to train his men in their ways in their tactics, and gives him the title of, I thought I wrote it down.
Hatamoto.
Yeah, Hatamoto. Yeah, I
Yep.
thought I wrote it down. Yeah, and then which is a great honor, whatever, blah blah blah. And then he asks him to teach him how to dive.
Teach him how to dive. Yeah, this was a great ending.
It was a good ending. It was funny though. Like him and his like weird sackcloth speedo, whatever he was
Yeah.
wearing.
I know. Like at that point, I feel like just be naked. I
yeah,
guess because
don't
like
know.
I don't know how that
Well,
even
then
works.
and then when Toranaga like jumps in, he's like
fully clothed.
like,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, how do you swim in that?
I don't know.
How do you swim in that?
I think this is good because in this episode, just speaking for episode 3, because we're gonna get into episode 4, we see Mariko and John kind of bonding a little bit together, and it's cool that after all that, they both dive in the water, and the episode ends on her face actually smiling, which I thought was a good ending for episode 3.
Yeah.
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 Because you don't see her smile that much in this show. So.
Well, like you said, like there's alluded to some. They've mentioned some things of her loss, but then like there's also things that is alluded to in her past that we don't really know the details of. And then of course, then she literally just lost her husband.
Yes.
Well, unless you think she did, like we said, we didn't see it happen on screen.
That's why I feel like he's going to come back. But no, in this moment, obviously she thinks he's dead. Yeah.
So kind of weird for her actually to smile, but
well, I mean, in the moment, I guess.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Any other comments on episode 3?
Nope.
But yeah, it was good. Good. Good episode.
Really good. I was looking because I've been curious with just because the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb ratings so high for this show. I looked at IMDb and looked at the actual episodes to see where they're at, and they're all even up to 4 now. They're all in the 90s too, which is crazy because there's not much stuff that is rated that high, like
every episode.
overall. Yeah. So.
No, it's super good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then we'll move on to episode 4, the Eightfold Fence. Blackthorn and Mariko test their new alliance as they train Toranaga's gun regiment for war. Shuji must navigate his Shige.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have it written down there too. I just like how to pronounce it. It's just seeing it bigger doesn't help with the pronunciation. Shige must navigate his past promises to Ishidu when an old friend comes to the village.
Mm-hmm.
So here we pick up where they're arriving at the small fishing village, Ajiro, which is where Blackthorn originally kind of landed, right? Which had his ship and everything.
Yes.
And they get greeted by an oppressive amount of people and troops. They seem to be very fond of Yabasuji. Why can't I even say this? Right? Yabasuji. Shishi.
No, you're still not good. Yabu Shige.
Shige.
Yeah.
Shige.
I think, yeah.
Yabu Shige.
Yeah, that's got to be it. I think that's how it's pronounced. That's how it looks anyway on there.
Yabu Shige.
Yeah.
Yabu Shige. Anyway, they all seem very loyal to him, but then he allows Toranaga to address them, and then they seem to be praising him as well.
I think Toranaga more than
a little bit.
Seemed like he's more respected.
Yeah, the lady with the sake comments.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all you need to know. She wanted the good sake for Toranaga.
And then he left. And she's like, she bought the cheap stuff.
Yeah, let's break out the cheap stuff. Yep.
Yeah. And then we have the scene where Blackthorn tries to go visit his ship and find out where his men are. And well, I guess he thought maybe he was a little more free to do things. He finds out he's not.
Nope.
But then he gets escorted to go see his house. He's like, I have a house.
Yeah, but
And
he
then
really just still feels like a prisoner, just in a nicer
well,
house.
he
is
says
what it
that.
is.
He says that. But then they present Fuji as his um
What was the word they
They
use?
use it.
Consort.
yeah,
I think.
consort. Yep, that's what I was looking for. I wrote it down
Yeah.
as his consort, and of course he's just like, I don't want this. I don't want any of this.
I mean, she doesn't either.
Yeah.
She
She
just lost her husband
and
and
her son.
yeah.
And and she's pretty upset. And
Yeah.
because then because Mariko has to talk her into even doing it. And then they asked her for a year, and she said 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
But then house, and the next day they're gonna go start the training, and I don't know where he got these guns. Where he suddenly had guns. I was like, has he been carrying these guns around? Where did he get the guns?
Didn't
I was confused why all of a sudden he had guns, but
no, he wasn't he mentioning about retrieving his guns off the ship?
yeah, but he couldn't go out to the ship.
I know he didn't, but I guess that means someone did.
Oh, okay.
Get him for him.
But
I know he didn't, but yeah, because no, he didn't have him this whole time.
I know,
don't think.
and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he has guns. But
Right.
Anyway, they don't want him to take the guns and with them to the training, and then and it's so funny. He's like, "Well, you guys carry swords around," and then
Yeah.
and then they were trying to steal them. But then this was a good moment for Fuji,
Oh yeah.
where she's like, "I'll take them," and then the guy tries to. What was it? Who was it? Was it Ami?
That was
No.
yeah. I think that was Omi.
Omi.
Yeah, I think so.
But and then he tries to take him from her, and then she like cocks the gun
Uh-huh.
like she's gonna shoot him, and
Yeah.
that was a nice first step of building some trust between Blackthorn and Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked that scene. That was good. And so then they had to the training. So he's like, teach us your tactics. And he starts telling stories of an old war that slips up and mentions that when he was taught about
Yeah,
it.
he was not.
and
He was
he's
not
like-
in it.
Yeah, and then she's like, wait a minute, you weren't in this war? So
See, this scene was great because he slips up about that, but then he still proves himself by
well, yeah,
what he
so-
does next.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
then he realized, and then when he finally dawned on him, like, oh, it's naval tactics, like
Mhm.
we can use what I know there and just adjust for land or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then he decides to give him the demonstration with the cannons and how accurate they are with them, which impressed Yabu Shiji.
Nope. Still no. Yabushige.
Shige. Oh, yes. Man. Yabu Shige.
You got the rest of them, I think.
Yeah.
Although we haven't said this one yet.
Hiramatsu.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, anyway, so he's impressed because he's like, oh, we've seen what the Portuguese can do with the cannons, and he's like, it's nothing. They can't hit the broadside of a barn. He doesn't say that, but you know.
But basically, yeah. Yeah.
And then he's impressed with what Blackthorn can do because at the distance and accuracy was impressive.
Yeah. And it goes through like more than one at the same time.
Yeah.
It's at least two
Yeah,
that were lined up.
yeah. So,
I feel like that's got to be really hard to do with a cannon.
but then also in this, we definitely got some longing looks between Blackthorn and Mariko.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, man, she doesn't waste any time, does she?
Nope. She really doesn't. We're going to get there to that.
And then while they're there at the training, Shido's men show up with a
Mhm.
message, and they're calling Yabu Shige.
Still wrong.
Shige.
There you go.
Yabu Shige.
Yeah.
To summon him to the council.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a dilemma because if he goes, they're probably going to kill him. But if he doesn't go, then he's going to be a marked man to be killed
Yes.
and considered, going rogue, right? Basically. So he's conflicted on what to do, and then they have the idea of like, well, let me show you what I'm doing here, and he has Ishido's men stay overnight, and he's like, tomorrow we'll give you a demonstration and show you what we've been doing. Then we have the couple of more intimate scenes. So the first one is where Blackthorn John gives Fuji one of his guns as a, like, I'm sorry, I was a jerk to you initially, and you're actually a good person. Let me give you this as a peace offering. And she's touched, and then she gives him her family swords.
This was awesome.
Which was, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Cool moment. And of course he tries to not take them, but then he's, Mariko convinces him, like, this is important, you need to.
Well, yeah, because it would be an insult not to take it. Yeah.
So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's he gets his own samurai swords.
Yeah.
And then he eats the weird food.
Mm-hmm.
Then they laugh because he eats it. Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't sound great.
I don't. Yeah, but I don't know what it was.
I couldn't tell, but from his description, doesn't sound great.
And then he goes and takes a nightly bath.
Yeah.
And well, Mariko stumbles upon him as he's taking his bath. So then they have a interesting conversation where she's asking about where, England, where he's from, in London. And then he's describing, like, basically if she visited there, what they would do. And it sounded like a date, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and they're both like dreaming about this date they could go on potentially at some point in the future. The other thing we kind of skipped over, or I skipped over, I should say, was when he felt the earthquake, and then and that was a good line from her. I didn't write that one down, but where she talks about there's death in the air here all the time, or something, like we live in. There was something. It was a good line there that
she has a lot of good lines.
Yeah. But yeah, so then they head back, and then you see him sleeping, and everyone turns a little lights out from the candles, and Fuji leaves him, and he's snoring, and then Mariko decides to just pop into his little quarters.
They don't really show her face though too much. You notice that?
Yeah.
And the next day, she kind of like is basically saying that, like, no, that was Fuji, but
we know.
It was her, but obviously to, I guess, keep it on the DL. I'm assuming why she mentioned it that way, but no, yeah, I mean it for sure was Mariko though.
Yeah. Well, I was like, no, but I put a note about, like, just then the next morning she's like, oh yeah, no, like, to give him the cold shoulder, let's not pretend like that happened. And the dude's like, what in the world? Like,
yeah, but the way they greet each other was a very different greeting than previously. Like, they were way more
he definitely was. And then she's like, oh, it's good to see you're in good spirits.
Yeah, you're right. His was way more, but then at the end, I think you see her. There was a smile again, but yeah, before that, she was very. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I'm just like, dude, the women sending mixed signals to the guy, and the guy's just like, I don't understand. I'm clueless. What's going on?
Tale as old as time.
Yeah, even regardless of race, Japanese doesn't matter.
Yep. But even in the
girls always confusing the guys.
1600s.
Yeah, 1600s.
Yeah,
1600 Japan.
Yep.
Still the same.
Still the same.
So then we get the next morning where they're going to go demo everything to Ishido's guys, And well, I don't have him on here, do I? What's Tornaga's son's name?
That's a good question. I know you're talking about, but I don't.
But anyway, because we had the scene where he slept with the other um,
Yeah.
lady. That's like a
And she was kind of
nudging him, like,
convincing.
hey,
Yeah.
you should. And then his buddy, Ami, right? It was Ami that was talking to him.
Yes.
It was like, so he gets the idea of like, I don't need to ask my dad about this because that's what he was like. We should talk to Toranaga about it, and he's like, we don't need to talk to him. And basically, he had, I guess, some other cannons hidden somewhere else, ready to, and he cleared out the guys,
They get obliterated.
and they, obliterated the Ishido's guys.
Jeez.
And that was it. I feel like it was again, like just different looking than you're used to seeing on camera, like a death. Like we were talking about the boiling, and that was definitely different.
Oh yeah.
But this was like, it was brutal looking, but also like not like something I've seen like very often. I mean,
And it looked real too.
yeah,
And unexpected, which is something just like we didn't mention in the last pod, but in the first episode where they're just walking and that guy gets beheaded like
right
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And
because he just like
that
stepped
one
out
was,
of line.
Yeah, and that was crazy too, because that was very unexpected as well. So they do those kind of things very well in this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Mariko's basically like, this is war.
This is war. Because he goes up and then cuts the guy's head off.
Yes.
And then
And he calls them basically saying basically call them savages because no samurai would fight this way. Yeah.
And then he kills him. But so, and then she's like, Mariko says to Blackthorn, well, this is war.
Yeah. So I'm assuming we're gonna get a big battle
at some point
next episode.
Maybe
it's gotta be now. I mean, what they're gonna wait a whole other episode to fight?
I don't think so, but I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, but I'd imagine it's coming for sure. If it's not episode 5, it's because where there's none of the armies are close to each other right now. That's why maybe it would take an episode of still moving the pieces around to get to like where the actual battle would happen. Because right now, if that happened, unless Yabu Shige.
You got it.
Shige. Yeah,
there you go. Yep.
Shige. Yabu Shige. Unless he gets word back to Ishido, I mean, they'll figure it out eventually. Their men don't come back, but there's like some time in there. So is there enough time for Tornaga's son to get an army over and they attack instead of, because they were training for something and with the plan, I guess, eventually attack, but they were wanting to do 6 months of training. And then, of course, I don't think it's been 6 months.
No.
From the show, it just seems like it's been a couple days, but maybe there were some time gaps in there. I don't know.
It's probably
because there was like a little bit of a montage of training stuff in there.
Yeah.
Right there.
But not much. I don't think it's been that long.
No. So, and then, we don't know where Toranaga went either, do we? So
nope.
Just said he had to leave on business and he left.
Yeah.
So we don't know where he's at. But yeah, it could be even end up being a battle there of Yabushige and Toranaga's son, you kind of fighting each other for that, which then I don't know where, because like you said, it was kind of hard to, they definitely were the town where all the troops are, I guess Shige, and now I can't overthink it every time. It was it's where he's from, his town, and so they're kind of like his men, but then they seem to be loyal to Toranaga as well. So it's you could have a little civil war or something going on right there before we even get a bigger thing later with the Ishido.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely setting up for something big. And so
for sure.
I guess we're not. Next week we'll be with episode 5. We'll be halfway because there's 10 episodes. So
yeah.
The question is, they're gonna. As well as this is going, and do they do a second season. But I
Uh,
mean, there's no book material, assuming they cover the book in first season.
No, so I saw. Um, did I mention this last pod? I don't know. I saw an article about the creator of the show because he already got asked about a second season,
Mhm.
and he said that all 10 episodes, they said they cover everything in the book and they end it very well how they wanted to end it. So they said no to doing any more. So this
Okay.
does cover the whole book, this first season, which was nice that he confirmed that.
Okay.
And they said they really like how the book ends, and they said they really like how they ended it in the
Okay.
show too. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
which is cool then, because then I mean it still covers the
Yeah.
whole book, and we
Yeah.
don't need to
no, but it just
because
also,
it's so popular. It's like
it's doing so well.
they
Like
gonna try to do
a
something?
lot of times, they'll, and then I mean, a lot of times you invest so much up front on all the costumes and all, like that stuff, and it's like, and the sets and all that stuff. So like you can get more bang for your buck when you do the second season,
That's true.
theoretically, because you can reuse a lot of stuff. But
Yeah,
and it is loosely based on all real historical events, and so I mean, you have history.
just go to history
Yeah.
and then
and then make some more content. But I don't know. I mean, but then you still don't have the original source material that you're working off of, so it could be a little risky.
Yep.
Who knows? But yeah,
Look what happened when some other stuff went off of the the source when stopped using the books because there were no more books.
oh, right, Game of Thrones. Which
Yeah.
this has been being compared to in general because of the
Yeah,
especially the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones, where it was a lot of just talking in rooms and
yeah. It is very similar to season one,
it's like,
especially. Yeah,
it has a lot of that.
yeah, definitely.
Where before they were using dragons and burning things down,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just but so much like
Which is a lot of what House of the Dragon is too. Is just a lot of talking
Yeah.
in rooms.
I know. No, I was just thinking like I need to rewatch Game of Thrones. It's been a while.
Yeah, just stop at like season 6.
Yeah,
Just stop
true,
there.
True.
I think that was. I want to say it's the last season from that was still on book. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Don't quote me. Don't yell at me, internet. I don't know. It was something like that. I think because it was 7 and 8, right? There was 2 more seasons. I think it was like the last 2 seasons is when it was deviated.
Yeah. So.
We'll see how 3
Yes.
body problem is.
Oh right, that's coming. That's soon.
But they're good at adaptations though. So
It's an adaptation. So.
like no, it's based on a book.
No, I know. I said
So-
it. Yeah, I said
right,
it's another it's another adaptation.
Yeah, another adaptation. Yeah, so then I'm hoping this will be good because
Yeah.
they did Game of Thrones really well when it was going off the book. So I
Yes.
hope this is good also.
Yeah, me too. So what do you guys thinking of episode 3 and 4, Shogun, or the show overall? Let us know. What do you think? What do you think there's going to be a battle in episode 5, or is it going to wait till 6 to have a big battle? At some point, all these different houses are going to have to come together. The Battle of 5 Armies.
Dude, that'd be sick.
But yeah, so let us know what you think, in the comments, or you can email feedback@screentimepod.com. And if you like to follow us on Instagram, you can follow it's Screentime Pod on Instagram, or you can follow me personally at @jyoungbar.
And I'm at Jered Youngbar.
All right. And with that, we will catch you guys next time.